So what are we going to call it?
Well, it's just a mother and daughter talking.
Just a mother and daughter talking.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. Recorded.
You know, it's been stuck in my head for days and days and days.
What?
Sitting. Sitting is the opposite of standing.
When did you first hear that?
Sitting is the opposite of running around. Sitting is a wonderful thing.
Okay, so you've been singing that for a few
Because
days.
sitting is the opposite of standing on your head. Sitting is the opposite of hanging from a barbell. Sitting is a wonderful thing to do. Yeah, it's been stuck in my head.
Yeah, you're really good at it, though.
I love it so much.
Yeah, you've got it down.
And I love the accent that he does. Because I do think he's Hispanic, but he doesn't have an accent in his daily life.
Yeah.
But when he's singing that song, he puts it on real thick, and it's just fabulous. He's gone totally viral. Brian Jordan Alvarez, he's gone totally viral. People are remixing it. He's playing on radio stations. People love it.
Okay, so
sitting is the opposite of standing. It's been stuck in my head for days. I go to bed.
That's called an earworm.
I go to bed at night singing it. I wake up in the morning. I sing it. We were riding bikes yesterday. I was singing as we were riding a bike. Oh my God, it is stuck in my head so bad. But I love it. I'm not upset about it.
Well, so this is something that I find super interesting at this phase in my life, being old. I'm kind of old at this point.
Yeah.
And so I still don't totally get the concept of going viral. I mean, I understand broadly that you create something on social media and then all of a sudden, is it millions of people?
God, millions. Yeah.
So is there a definition? I need to know the vernacular.
I once posted a TikTok that got 1,600 views, and I felt that I went viral.
Is that viral? Is 1,600 viral?
No,
okay,
absolutely not. I think you've got to kind of hit 1 million before you're considered.
So
viral.
Once you hit 1 million, and it's just views, it's not really downloads it's just views, right?
Yeah, downloads are not a thing anymore.
Okay.
I mean, it kind of depends. I think on to go viral on Instagram, I think it's hundreds of thousands. On YouTube, I think it might only be tens of thousands. But on TikTok, where there's literally every single person on the planet has a TikTok account.
Yeah.
I think it's millions, so it's different by platform. So anyways, that song has been stuck in my head, and I had to sing it. I had to put it out there because it's been stuck in my head. But this is our first episode of our podcast.
I mean, official, because we've done several, and she's annoyed at me at this point.
The people don't need to know.
Okay.
They don't need to know how the sausage is made.
All right. Well, I'm just saying we've practiced.
So this one better be fucking perfect.
All right. Now you're angry. You were
so
annoyed.
Angry. Yeah.
Why? Because don't you think that this is a fundamental difference between you and I think it's generational. Hear me out.
All right.
I expect to work hard for something that is gonna in any way make sense or be productive. Or
the point of a podcast, though, is not to work hard. At least not the kind of podcast we're doing. We're not trying to be Andrew Huberman. We're not trying to have a lab at Stanford and study and talk about it, even though his podcast is not affiliated with his research lab at Stanford. We know this.
It's in an effort to
provide podcast, right? And an effort to provide, what is it? Consumable information to the masses or some shit.
No, not some shit. I'm in love with him, by the way.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I noticed the other day that he always wears that black, Steve Jobs, whatever shirt. Yeah, and I noticed the other day that it was pulled up a little bit, and I noticed there was a tattoo, and I was like, damn, he's tatted up too.
It's the only thing that I'm not
Which you're not into it, but I am super into it.
Yeah, not into the tattoos.
Can we tell the people who we are?
Yeah. I mean,
go.
My name is Anne.
Anne.
I'm her mom. And I live in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a surgery center administrator. I've been in healthcare for a very long time at this point, on the business side of healthcare. That's what I do, as Patrick Mahomes would say. We'll talk about him later.
It's what I do.
It's what I do. It's what I do.
It's what I do.
It's what I do. Love him. And I love what I do. But that's what I do for work. I also am a dog mom and a human mom of one. That is a job that I take very seriously.
I saw this TikTok the other day. You need TikTok. I know, you think China's spying on you or something.
No, I don't think China's spying on me, but
I mean, they are, but who cares?
Right.
TikTok is great.
I'm a little concerned about that microphone plugged into my phone right now. Not sure they can get my bank records when you plug stuff in my phone, but okay, if you say I'm good.
I saw this TikTok the other day and it was like, how fucked up is your family? Does your mom call her dogs your siblings?
Yes.
100%. That's my brother and sister right there. Yeah, 100%.
Get
But the
drunk.
comments were so funny. The
Oh,
comments
I
were
wish
like,
we could show them. They're so cute right now. They're like sitting nicely, looking at me.
don't
Don't
acknowledge
look at
them.
them.
Yeah, they're
Don't
gonna
talk to
start
them.
barking.
Right. I have
Um,
2 dogs.
all the comments were so funny. They were like, "Yeah, I call my grandma's dog my uncle, and my sister's dog is my nephew." And it's just a bunch of white people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
mean, I get it.
yeah, my dog. Yeah, my dog, which is in Seattle. You haven't gotten to that yet. Is 1,000,000% my child.
Well, I was I
Like,
was brought up with that culture where your animal is your family, treated like your family, inside, in your bed. Do you
yeah.
think we're going to be able to hear her whining now? Because
No, we
she's
won't. We
whining.
won't
Don't look
hear
at
her
her. Don't look at
whining.
her.
I was gonna say they know we're talking about them.
Right. So okay. So what else about me?
Your name is Anne.
Yes.
You're a surgery center administrator.
Yes.
You've been doing that for a long time. You've
Yes.
been in the administrative side of healthcare for a long time.
Very long time.
What is like one fun fact about you?
I have studied positive psychology since.
Wow, that's the most fun fact ever.
No, positive psychology is fun.
It is. That's my profession. But
It's super fun.
I was thinking more like I've been skydiving 18 times.
I don't know that I have anything fun like that.
Oh, well, we'll have to work on that.
Yeah, I'm not, I mean, I don't have I have like some fun friends and then I do some fun things.
It's the most fun thing about you is that you have fun friends.
Yeah.
I love it.
And I'm a good follower with the fun friends.
Yeah.
But as a
What
person,
is touching me? Can you move it?
well, I'm having a problem with this whole chair situation because.
Oh, that's better. That's better.
Yeah. I mean,
No, it's still touching me.
so we're losing people right now.
Can we introduce me?
Yes. It's all about her. We're only children, both of us, by the way.
We've been talking for probably 7 minutes at this point, and we haven't even introduced the podcast hosts yet. We've only
Should
got
we
50%
look at
of
this
that.
to make sure we like it so we know we're good?
No,
Okay.
I'm not doing it again.
Okay.
This is our last attempt. If this
Stop
one's not
that.
good, I'm not doing it.
That is not even nice.
You don't understand how many times we've done this.
4 or 5. That's not a lot.
I think this is 6 for the first episode.
All right, keep going. We're losing people.
My name is Danielle. I live in Seattle. I'm a life coach. And a fun fact about me, I've never been skydiving. But I am a professional wrestling fan. That's always my fun fact because I don't fit the bill, I don't think.
Oh, I have something that doesn't fit the bill. I like Howard Stern. People look at me and they're like, if I ever say that, they're like it's so out of character for me. But and let me just say, I have to qualify it a little bit. I don't I don't listen to his interviews, or I haven't listened to him in a while, so I don't know what his interviews are. But he did have some crazy stuff, like back in the 90s when I listened to him a lot because I was in the car a lot.
And I think
I was
he,
very
made fun of like disabled people.
Yeah,
and stuff.
I'm not. I don't listen to that. But what I loved about Howard Stern was how he would just have a vibe with the people that he works with, Robin, and back in the day, Jackie, and it was very entertaining. It was all very comedic.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess that's something that, like, for you, watching wrestling is unusual. I think for me back then it was unusual.
And I read a lot of like really like hard sci-fi books too. Like in the future, robots. Like I don't just read like Colleen Hoover. In fact, I don't read Colleen Hoover. She sucks. Sorry, book talk.
Oh. Should we say people suck on our podcast? I don't think that's nice.
Book people, real book people, no. Like Colleen Hoover. She's the Lay's potato chip of the book world. Meh.
Well, I don't know that we should disparage her. I mean, she's a person trying to make a living.
And she's doing truly just fine.
Okay.
Because every basic white woman on the face of the planet has read her books. I don't really look like a basic white woman.
You don't. You have tattoos. You're not a basic white. I'm a basic white woman.
3 whole tattoos.
But I feel like I'm very,
Yeah, you are. You probably really like Colleen Hoover.
I don't know. I don't know. I think that if she's trying to entertain people and that's her purpose, right? I mean, what's your purpose? Maybe she's trying to make the world better, make the average.
My purpose in this moment
Yeah.
is to make this podcast. What is our podcast about? Have we even mentioned, because this is the 6th try, have we even mentioned how we know each other? I think for the people watching this, it's pretty obvious, especially at this angle. Hang on, look straight ahead. Look at these noses, you guys. It's the same nose.
Yeah, we're the same person for the most part.
If I was a brunette or if she was a blonde,
yeah,
same
we're
person.
the same person. So
we're twins.
So I think the podcast idea came about with my dog is whining. I don't know why. Should I go give him food?
No, just ignore her.
Okay. I think it's because it's about they're thinking that they want, but
well, they need to wait. It's
okay.
Not time.
So I think the podcast idea came about maybe 4 or 5 months ago.
Yeah.
And we were just talking about my next chapter and your positive psychology coaching business and how we're kind of funny sometimes together. And you were
at
like,
least we think we
we
are.
think we are. And you were like, let's do a podcast together. And I said, okay, well, we'll try that. What can we lose? So that's kind of how it came. But then we've practiced quite a bit.
What can we lose? Truly nothing but time. So much time.
We have practice. I'm not happy with any of the production. I feel like we need a production, like a manager, several cameras.
I would.
I watch Rich Roll. He does a very good job.
Mom, he has a production team.
I get it.
Do you ever listen to him at the end of his podcast?
Tom Bilyeu?
Production team. Do you ever listen to the end of Rich Roll? At the end, he thanks this person and that person and that person and his kids for writing his theme song or whatever the hell, right? Like,
I love Rich Roll. Have I mentioned that? He's an inspiration. That dude, he was a lawyer. He was an alcoholic. He was fat, not totally fat, but kind of fat. And he decided he was going to do something different. And he
I love his book.
I can't see this dog.
I love his book, Finding Ultra.
Yeah.
It's a great book. Like I'm never going to run anything more than like a 5K. That's just not what makes me happy. I exercise every day. Movement's important. Running, very much not my thing. But so yeah, I never want to be an ultra marathoner. But his book was still so excellent. I really enjoyed it.
No, he in my mind is very inspirational because he really turned his life around, and I think he's making a living podcasting now.
Yeah, 100%.
And he's got, everybody has Athletic Greens, which why would they change their name?
They have AG1.
Right. They have such a following with Athletic Greens. Well, I don't understand that.
Know. People, you still call it Athletic Greens. Yeah. You know it's AG1.
Yeah.
So, speaking of Rich Roll and speaking about how much we love Andrew Huberman, have you heard about the Huberman husband thing?
No.
So another thing on TikTok, and I'm sure it's like in other corners of the internet, but I saw it on TikTok, and this woman, and there's a bunch of people who do it, but like I saw this one woman, and she was like, you've heard of this and you heard of that, but have you heard of a Huberman husband? I'm like, what's a Huberman husband? And she's like, well, I didn't say that. I thought that, because then she talks about it and she goes, every morning we wake up and we walk outside and stare at the sun. And then we come inside and we drink some green powder that Andrew Huberman says is good for us. And then we drink this other thing that he also says is good for us, Element, which I do drink.
Minerals. Yeah. Yeah, I haven't gotten that yet.
But, and then we have to exercise and we have to hit this certain cardio
Zone
zone, right?
2. Peter Attia.
Yeah. And I'm listening to this girl and I'm like, I don't have a Huberman husband. I am a Huberman husband.
Yeah, me too.
Because I do all of that stuff. So I think we've talked about what's the podcast about, right? And I think most of it's just us kind of shooting the shit, but we do definitely have this wellness slant, because that's something that we both really love. We're both super passionate about.
Well, okay, so yes, and I would also say that it's not limited to one genre of improvement, well-being, it's wellness. I think it's all aspects of living your best life.
Yeah.
So psychologically, physically, what you do with your time, how you give
Financially,
back
we were talking
financially.
about, should we buy CDs?
Right now,
I
yes.
feel like we should.
5.3 something is what,
Yeah.
yeah, it's crazy.
It's,
It's back in the day. Remember when, well, you don't remember because you weren't there, but when I was a little kid, I remember that back in the 70s, that my Aunt Therese, who was the matriarch of our family, she was in the restaurant business. And in the 70s, she had CDs that would give her so much interest. The interest rates were, I don't know, they were like 12% or some ridiculousness, that she just lived on the interest of all her CDs. And think how secure that is. She didn't have to be in the stock market. She didn't have to,
yeah.
have a diversified portfolio like we all think about now. Oh, do I have enough REITs? Do I have enough of this? Do I have enough of that?
No.
Yeah. So anyhow, that's a little bit of a rant I can go on. But yes, living your best life. And I
In
think
all aspects.
we're conscious, we're deliberate, we educate ourselves. We don't get it all right, but we try our best. Like, I feel like, do you feel like there's one area that you can improve on? Like, when I look at all of my focus and effort in all the different areas, I feel like the one area that I can still improve on is fun. Like, you kind of pointed out, like, what's a fun fact about you? I'm like, well, I study public psychology. Like, I need more fun in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think when I think about like the wheel of life, right? And like specifically the one that I use with my clients has like 24 spokes. Like we go through a lot.
Okay, I don't think I've ever seen the 24 spoke one. I'd be interested in that.
Well, I made it.
Okay.
I
Of course you
created
did.
it.
Yes, of course you
It's
created it.
proprietary
Yeah. So
too.
not everyone probably knows the wheel with all the spokes and the concept. So why don't you just give a concept?
So the wheel of life is usually you'll see it with between like 5 to 10 spokes, and each spoke is a different area of your life: relationships, fun, health, sleep, exercise, job, whatever, like all of these things. And you are supposed to, when you rank each one on a scale from like 1 to 10, like 1 is down at the bottom and 10 is at the top of the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea is to have a balanced wheel.
Right.
So maybe not everything's a 10 and hopefully not everything's a 1, but the idea is to have a balanced wheel. But the one that I use with my clients was 24 spokes.
I'm really interested in that. I have to do something with these dogs. I have to either give them what, it'll take me 2 minutes.
All right. So the spokes on the wheel of life, right? They're supposed to be balanced. We already talked about that.
Right.
What were we talking about before that? About which area of your life you think you need to work on? For you, it's fun.
Yeah.
I think for me, when I think about the 24 spokes that I have,
I'm really curious to know all these 24 spokes. Let's put it in the podcast notes.
Yeah.
Can we? Is that?
Yeah.
It's proprietary for you, though. Your coaching business.
Yeah. I mean, it's proprietary in that like I'm the one that came up with this version with these specific 24 things. The wheel of life is like not.
Right.
I don't even know if that's at this point if that's proprietary to anybody.
Well,
so I feel like every coaching practice has something like it.
Yeah, I think I learned it when I took the classic Kripalu.
Like the very first,
yeah,
like, Positive
Tal Ben
Psychology
Shahar,
101.
Harvard, right, positive psychology.
Yeah. Excuse me. So I think for me, I think the biggest one that I need to work on right now is honestly probably finances. We've been talking about that
That's
a lot,
normal
like
at your age.
buying CDs, oh, whatever. Like, I think for me, I just really like to buy stuff. That's, I think, the biggest issue for me, right? It's like, and my portfolio is also definitely not very diverse, but I'm self-employed, so we're working on that. But I think just I think it's less about finances, and I would take it a step even further, like dial it down even more or drill down even more to say that it's conscious spending. That's actually what I think my biggest thing needs to be.
Well, that's the beginning of everything, is the conscious, bringing the awareness.
Yeah.
I mean, I say this all the time. If everyone in the world could just become 1% more aware, conscious of their actions, of themselves, I think the world would be a better place.
So we talked about the podcast having like a slight wellness slant.
Mhm.
We talk about all of these different aspects of wellness. And the one thing, like, I want to know one thing that you've done recently that you feel like has really improved some aspect of your wellness.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I do want to talk about this. I'm glad you asked me that question, because I have my whole life been challenged with keeping a healthy weight. Since I was literally in first grade, I'm not kidding. At this point, I don't see it as positive or negative. It's just a thing. I just work on it.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with it. I'm happy with it. I'll talk about my weight. I'll talk about what I'm doing. I'm always doing something, trying to improve. But most recently, exercise. So I went through a period of time where I worked out with a trainer 3 days a week for about 2.5-ish years. Then I had a health issue and abandoned that and hadn't gotten back on the track. And so June 27th,
Yeah.
I committed to 30
And
minutes a day.
we're into late September at this point.
Right. So
Yeah.
it's been months.
Yeah.
And I feel like this habit, this is the thing that I have to remind myself of when it feels like a grind. And there's science behind this, I'm sure Huberman could speak to.
Mhm.
In the beginning, or our dude with Atomic Habits that we're in love with too.
James Clear.
Thank you. It feels like a grind in the beginning, but then at some point, it does start to get that self reinforcement.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm self reinforced now. So I wake up in the morning and it feels super weird, like today, for example.
Oh my God, it's 2:00 and we haven't worked out yet.
Super weird that I haven't worked out. I mean, because my blueprint now is I'm an early riser. I wake up, and if I'm at home, go upstairs, ride the Peloton for 30 minutes. And it's enjoyable. I love my time on the Peloton. And then if I'm here, I'm either playing pickleball, or I'm riding on bikes, or I'm walking on the beach, or, doing something like that. So, yeah, the other thing that occurs to me, and this is mindset, this speaks to mindset. Sometimes I'll look at something that I want to do or that I want to stop related to a habit, and I'll think to myself, "Oh, damn, I've tried it before. I haven't done it." And you get that learned helplessness, right? It's a thing when you,
Well, that's Martin Seligman.
right.
Like, that's
Yeah,
like the
the
advent of positive
godfather,
psychology.
right?
Yeah.
So I can see that, and because I'm educated in that regard with positive psychology, I know what it is.
Yeah.
And so what I do to combat that is I think to myself, what hard thing have you been successful with in your life? And this is a good technique. What hard thing have you done? And I can point to, like, the one that occurs to me right now. I never thought I'd quit smoking. I smoked when I was younger. I smoked for like 6 years.
Yeah.
And I quit cold turkey when I found out I was pregnant with you. I mean, just boom, done.
Yeah.
And so I quit putting cream in my coffee and sugar.
Oh, yeah.
Just boom, done. I could not,
Same.
back in the day, I couldn't imagine a minute that I would be going through Dunkin' Donuts and not asking for extra cream, regular sugar.
Yeah.
But like 15 years ago,
Yeah.
I stopped that. So it's possible. And I think we all need to have those successes in our mind as a go-to.
Yeah.
Just right there anytime we doubt ourselves, because that the learned helplessness, that is a thing, and you want to be super, super aware and careful not to fall into that trap.
Yeah. Yeah. I think for me, like, exercise and movement, 2020 was really the year that it changed for me, because 2019 was like not a great year for me. And then right as I started to feel better, the world kind of shut down. And I was like, I'm not going back. Like, I don't know what forward is, but I am not going back. Right.
Yeah.
So I, yeah, decided to go back to school, and just was like,
You did so well.
yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I did really love school.
Yeah.
When I attempted it the second time.
Yeah.
College was not my thing when I was 18, but it was my thing when I was 28.
So can I interject there for a minute? Because
Sure.
I'm sorry, but I have to say this one thing that my therapist told me years ago,
Sure.
and it was so profound to me. When I was thinking about going back to school in my 20s, late 20s, I said, oh, I don't really like school. And she goes, and let's talk about when you decided that. What frame? Put that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, yeah. So adding context, like if you look at, oh, I don't like something. Well, is that something 20 years ago? It doesn't
Yeah.
mean that you don't like it today.
Yeah.
So anyhow, sorry, I had to say that.
Kevin didn't like mushrooms when we first started dating. He eats mushrooms all the time now.
Really?
Yeah.
I have the best way to cook mushrooms.
Well, if I
You
like
know
cook
what?
his food, I'm like, you're
You're
eating
eating
it.
mushrooms. But
And he likes it. And he likes it. And he's like, oh my God, it's delicious. I'm like,
people
yeah.
who don't like mushrooms don't know how to cook them. They cook them so that they boil them and then they're all like slimy in water. Don't cook your mushrooms like that.
Saute. You got to just
Yeah, you got to
saute
get the water out of
everything.
them, saute, and then you put a little bit of oil and you don't
Yeah.
fry them, but you saute them.
Yeah, you're fine.
Delicious. Okay,
Um,
sorry.
yeah,
Rabbit
so
holes.
I think movement for me, it happened in 2020, right? When I was like, okay, as the world is shutting down, my world was kind of opening up because I quit working, I
Yeah.
went back to school, and I had all of this time that all of a sudden I was in charge of how it was going to be structured.
Right.
So, and I had this frame, speaking of like your frame, right? Like I had this frame of like, now's my chance to figure out how to get it right. Because if I'm not conscious about this, it's not going to be good
Okay, I don't know that you've
mental
ever
health
told me
wise.
that.
Oh
That's
yeah.
powerful.
I
That
mean
you were conscious of that in that moment.
the timeline was I was probably low grade clinically depressed
Yeah.
from the time I was 24 till the time I was 27. And then when I was 27, my cat died, and that like threw me over the edge.
Yeah. Well, you lost your Mimi. You lost my mom.
In 2012.
Right, but I feel like that was
Well, that's yeah.
I don't know that you ever processed that grief, but that's a whole nother
Yeah.
podcast.
But so the death of the cat really threw me over the edge because it was
Mhm.
totally unexpected. And I don't know that I necessarily wanted to like harm myself or kill myself, but I do know that I didn't want to live.
Mhm.
You know, like
Mhm.
there was never a thought of like I could step out into traffic or I could
Mhm.
go find some pills and overdose. There was never that thought, but there was the thought every single day of like I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to go to work. I don't want to do anything. I just want to be in my bed.
Mhm.
Right. And so I finally, it's really amazing how easy it is to like hide this. Even when you are actively going to therapy every single week, it's
Mhm.
really easy to lie to your therapist for 1 hour every single week. And that's
Mhm.
what I did for years. But it got to the point where it was so bad that my partner was like basically basically gave me an ultimatum. And I hate saying that because that sounds so harsh, because he wasn't like, if you don't fix this, I'm going to leave you. Like that wasn't the conversation, but it was like kind of the loving version of that.
Yeah, but don't you need,
Right.
I think most people need some kind of a
Yeah.
catalyst. Like we were talking about Rich
100%.
Roll and how inspirational he is, but there was a catalyst for him. Mel
Well,
Robbins, there was a catalyst for her. Like
yeah.
everyone, there's a catalyst for big change
Yeah.
normally. Yeah.
So it was that conversation. I mean, that conversation happened over weeks. And then what it really was he went to you. And that's when I was like, oh, you drug my mom into this.
Yeah.
That's not
Yeah.
okay. And because it was easy to hide from my therapist, it was easy to hide from you. You were 3,000 miles away,
Yeah.
and you knew I wasn't thriving, but you didn't know that I was like not doing well at all,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, because we were seeing each other then,
Yeah.
but it was,
Yeah.
a week. You would
Not
come
even.
here.
Oh my God, I would fly down. I would take the red eye on like a Wednesday or a Thursday night, and I would fly back Sunday night so I could be at work on Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would take like a day off of work.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, so it was in October of 2019
Hmm.
that I was finally honest with my therapist, finally went to my doctor and was honest with him and got put on Prozac. In fact, I think it was Halloween. Well, it was a couple of days before Halloween because we had some friends over for Halloween.
Hmm.
And I remember I was like, I didn't want to tell anybody because I just was like, wasn't sure how the medication was going to affect me. But I remember my friend Charlotte and like the boys were like watching the movie or whatever. And we were in the kitchen, like doing girl stuff, opening a bottle of wine or something. I don't know what we were doing, but I was like, oh my God, Charlotte, like I started this new medication and I feel insane. Like I feel like I'm outside of my body. I feel crazy. And then I actually did start having suicidal ideations, but that's a side effect of the medication.
Hmm.
And my doctor told me, he was like, if I thought you were actually going to like act on anything, I wouldn't prescribe you this because it's a real thing that happens. The
Mhm.
first like 10 days to 2 weeks on Prozac, it happens. It's like, it's well documented,
Yeah.
right? So, but that happened for me. And I was like, oh my God, I just feel like crazy. But my doctor told me if I can get through 2 weeks, it'll be okay. And I
Mhm.
did. And I got through those 2 weeks. And then that was, November. And then Christmas happened and I felt great at Christmas. Like that was the year that I was making, like I made the pie,
Oh, the custard.
the,
Yeah.
yeah, the milk bar
That's it.
pie.
I couldn't think of the
Yeah.
in New York,
I
the
made the
milk bar.
pie
Yeah.
and like things were going so well and I was starting to get like kind of reinvigorated for work. I lost a bunch of weight, which is not something that really happens when you start antidepressants, like unless you or me apparently, and you had zero willpower whatsoever. So you just ate everything all day. And then as soon as you started feeling a little bit better, I had a little more willpower. And I was like, oh my God, I don't need to eat a box of noodles every night for dinner.
Well,
So I lost that, started feeling really great. And then in March, the world shut down and I lost my job. And I was like, if I do not take this opportunity to be conscious about what my next steps forward are, I'm afraid that I'm going to end up back where I was mid 2019.
so you were super, because I
I
know,
was like so afraid of going back.
yeah, I know the transition between the October 19 and the March 20, but I didn't realize that was when COVID happened. I was at home in Florida surgery center. I had to shut the surgery center down. I was working from the backyard, which it was beautiful outside.
I know, it was
I
really nice.
literally I had to go buy more than one set of. I had to have them shipped in because you couldn't go buy anything. But I had to get more than one pair of those because they would go dead because I was on the phone
Your
all day
AirPods,
long,
your
right?
AirPods, yeah.
So for work. So yeah, I spent 6 weeks in my backyard working, which was super.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that. I didn't know that that was a really deliberate transition or moment for you.
That's really when I fell in love with movement. Like I'd always exercised like a little bit, and I'd had my periods of like going to the gym every day and working out really hard, but
Yeah.
like that just wasn't sustainable for me. At least not the type of movement. I hadn't found anything that I really enjoyed. And I'm really not the kind of person that can just like strong arm myself into doing something that I don't like at least a little bit, you
Yeah.
know? So I needed to find something that I really liked. And in 2020, I mean, it was just going for walks. That was like, because I wasn't going to a gym. I'm not leaving my house, right? Like I remember like early COVID,
Yeah, but
like,
a lot of times that's how it starts,
well, that's
right? Is
exactly
that
how it
you
started.
plant
Yeah.
the seed and then that seed starts to grow and you're like, okay, I can
Well,
walk faster, I can jog,
Well,
I
that's
can.
exactly what happened. So I was going out every day around like lunchtime to go for a walk, and I was wearing like Converse. I was just like slipping on a pair of shoes and going for a walk. And then after I did that for a couple of weeks, I was like, maybe if I wore actual walking shoes,
Yeah.
this would be a little more, it would just make it that much more enjoyable. But I loved it. I would listen to a podcast, I would listen to music, whatever. I would just go enjoy. And it was spring, right? It was beautiful. The
Hmm.
first 6 weeks of COVID were beautiful.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Nobody was driving anywhere, so it was quiet. Um, so then I actually started wearing like walking shoes. And then after a while, after a couple of weeks of that, I walked down to the beach. I live really close to a beach, but I live at the top of a huge hill. And so walking down to the beach, no big deal. Walking back up from the beach can be difficult. And I was like, I wonder if I could do that. And I did. And I mean, it was like pretty hard and I like huffed and puffed, but I did it. And then a couple of weeks after that, I was like, I'm gonna jog. And by July or August, probably, so it was just a couple of months of 2020, I was
Hmm.
running a 5K every day.
Yeah. So I think that everything happens for a reason if you can keep that mindset. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? If you can keep, and that's part of positive psychology. Maybe, so have we defined positive psychology?
The
Because,
science of thriving,
yeah,
the
so,
science of human
and
flourishing. That's really the most simple way to put it.
it's a relatively new science, because, and Martin Seligman is the founder and the
one of the founders.
yes, and his other
Chris
person
Peterson
died.
is
Yes.
dead. Yeah.
So basically, before positive psychology, psychology was all focused around the problems.
Curing mental illness.
Right.
Yeah.
And so what Marty Seligman did, and his partner at the time, in academia at UPenn, were they at both at UPenn? They looked at, okay, well, if the baseline can just be no mental illness, how can we improve the baseline? How can we flourish? What can we do? And the most common interventions are, everyone knows, like random acts of kindness.
Practice gratitude.
Right. Practice
like
gratitude, and it'll make you happier.
Yeah.
There are literally hundreds of different interventions.
I mean, I have a textbook full of them.
Right.
Yeah.
That you can do to flourish in your life. So it's so interesting. And what you're describing, it sounds like that you planted a seed, and then it continued to develop, and you continued to work on it. And what? Wow.
And that's kind of why I became a life coach, right? And now I have this like added incentive to live my best life and like be the best version of myself that I can be, because I don't, even though as a life coach, in case the ICF is listening, it is not my job to tell my clients what to do. And I don't tell them what to do. That is not my role as their coach. I am not a mentor. I am a coach, right?
Okay, so your ICF, so when you say ICF, that
the
stands
International
for
Coaching Federation.
Okay, so that's gold standard with coaching.
Yeah.
That certification that you have. So we both have certifications.
Yeah.
I'm a corporate coach. It is not through ICF. Great program.
Yeah.
And I think that I just wanted to add that distinction, though, because your program was longer and certainly more comprehensive than what I did.
Yeah.
But I think defining the role of coaching is so important, Danielle, because I'll be at dinner, and like Lana asked me the other night, she said, well, what does Danielle do?
Yeah.
And
I'm a partner. I am an equal to my clients. I am not above them. I do not know more than them.
You know more about positive psychology.
About themselves.
Okay.
My clients know themselves better than anyone else on this planet could possibly ever know them, right? And because of that, they are the expert in themselves. It is just my job to help them understand themselves better and how to optimize their strengths to get to where they want to go.
That's interesting.
Yes. Yeah. So my point with what I was going to say, though, was like, I never tell my clients what to do. That is not my role as their coach. I do have the incentive to exercise and eat well and get good sleep and go stare at the sun in the morning.
Right.
Because I have no business guiding people how to live their best life if I'm not doing it myself.
Testify. 100% agree.
Yeah.
100% agree. And I think that that's probably the best way to influence anyone in the world is to wear it well.
To lead by example.
Right, to wear it well.
For sure.
And you can't tell people what to do, but if they look at you and go, wow, she looks happy, or she looks, that's how you spread the word, I think.
Yeah. Wait, did we talk about what's the one thing that you need to do to improve on? Or what's on what you're working on? Like that was not a great way to phrase that question, but you know what I'm asking.
Yeah.
What's one thing that you want to do like in the next week that's going to make you feel like you're making progress towards your goals?
Well, so I kind of have an initiative right now. All the things that I need to do to live my best life is what I'm working on right now.
But what's one thing?
There's a whole checklist every day.
Fuck the checklist. What's one thing?
The most challenging thing right now on that checklist is something that I love, and I can't figure out operationally how to incorporate it in my life. And it's something that I've been trying to do for probably 3 or 4 months now.
Okay.
my meditation practice.
Oh
So
yeah.
I have been often, I haven't consistently every single day meditated.
Yeah.
And, when I had that health issue 8 years ago, one of the first things I did was I called my therapist who's in Gainesville and I said, I need meditation to get through this next 3 months.
Yeah.
What kind of meditation should I do? Give me a resource. And she said, transcendental meditation, that's the gold standard. It's not a quick, process. You have to be trained. You have to take a class. There were no classes available. I literally went and did private sessions so that I could get it done. And I love it. I
Yeah.
I do transcend. I mean, I get teased about this, but like my energy joins the universal energy. Like
Yeah.
I go there. Um, my dogs are an obstacle.
God.
I know.
Yeah, the dogs are the
They're a
worst
pain in the
when it
ass.
comes to yeah, that's
I mean, I
awful.
love them.
Can you do it at
But,
night before bed? They're pretty chill at night.
well, until they're not, until there's a cat in the backyard. And then there's nothing worse than being in the middle of a meditation and having
Oh
a,
yeah.
wah! I mean,
So you need to go upstairs.
yeah,
Just like
that's
you
what
do to
I've
ride the
done.
Peloton, you need to go upstairs.
So that's what I've done in the past,
Yeah.
to make it happen. And so I just need to do that. I
Yeah.
mean, what occurs to me is, I was listening to Mickey Singer, who I love, who is a just a wise sage, and I'm so grateful that his name and his teachings are out there to the mainstream now. I mean,
Yeah.
this is a guy who I met back in the 80s, 90s, early 90s. Owner of a big medical software company, developed in Alachua, and he's just amazing. He goes under Michael Singer. His teachings are Michael Singer, but Michael A. Singer. Untethered Soul is probably his most popular book. But I think in that book, maybe in his other book, he talks about his longing to meditate back in the 70s when he first started to work on himself spiritually. And he said, I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want to be near anybody. I just wanted to be in my, zone at home meditating. And I
Yeah.
feel like that. I feel like, hey, I don't want to, not all day, every day, but I want to be meditating. I don't want, but it's so hard to incorporate in my
Yeah. So
life.
what's one thing that's holding you back?
The dogs.
Yeah.
And
So
I
what
love my dogs.
of course. So what are you gonna do about it though?
Well, the only thing I can do about it is I think I'm going to have to go upstairs and meditate at night.
All right. There you go.
Yeah. I mean, I do. As we're talking about it, I can feel a couple different things, obstacles, but
Yeah.
I think I can try to sort those out. But yeah, I need to do that because I love it.
Yeah.
It's so good for you too. I mean, the science behind, there's so much data behind meditation. It's
Yeah.
amazing. Okay, back at you. What's one thing?
I think, well, I mean, I was talking about like conscious spending as being my like one thing, but I've already kind of been working on that.
Yeah.
I've already been actually working that on a lot. One of the things that I've been doing, I think we live in this like instant gratification society, where if I want something, like I just go on Amazon and buy it, and then tomorrow it's at my door, right?
Life today.
Um,
Yeah.
which on the one hand, that's really convenient, right? So there is like a convenience aspect to it when you legitimately need something. I love it, but what I've been doing instead is every time I've been thinking like, oh, I really want something, I'm either just like adding it to my cart, but not buying it, or I'm like taking the link to it and putting it in a note on my phone. And the note on my phone may or may not become my Christmas list.
That's what you said when you first got here this time.
May or may not become my Christmas list,
Yeah.
but that is neither here nor there.
Sounds like it's going to cost me more money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But what actually the putting things in my cart is actually really helpful because then when I go to Amazon, when I actually need something to buy, like I need, like, I don't know, like the dog food or whatever, we buy it on Amazon. Then I log in
Yeah.
and, or I just open the app, I don't log in, but then I like go to my cart and I'm like, why is my cart $273? I was like, oh, because I put all this shit in there last week that I thought I really wanted. And I did, and I don't need it, and I delete it. Like, one of the things that happened to me a couple of weeks ago was I decided I wanted to change all the light switch covers in the house. I just thought it would look nice. I don't know. I wanted like period specific light switch covers that
This
would
is why
match.
people have full-time jobs,
When the
Danielle.
house was built,
So they're not thinking of all this stupid shit to buy.
okay, miss, you have a full-time job, but you are buying a I'm looking at the thing, a curtain, a drop-down curtain. I'm just saying, you do still have a full-time job and you still think of shit to buy. That's what
I
I'll say.
need that
So,
though.
so when I do then need the thing though, I go and I'm like, I don't need all this crap and I don't want to spend all this money. This is stupid money. So I
Good.
don't do it. But so that's kind of my strategy there. I think the thing that I really want to work on, I actually kind of want to do this tomorrow. I kind of want to get back to my home routine. Like I want to wake up on time tomorrow. I don't want to sleep in.
Mm-hmm.
I want to wake up on time and I want to go to the gym in the morning.
Yeah. It's so weird for me now not to go to the gym. Like
I
I don't
know.
want to
I
say
want
it's
to.
anxiety that it causes, but it causes me concern that it is 2:35 in
Yeah,
the
that's too
afternoon
many.
and I have not worked out.
Yeah, we need to work out in the mornings. We're
Yeah.
not evening. And if you are
Yeah.
an evening workout person, fine.
No,
But
not
it's just,
fine because you're really not supposed to work out before you go to sleep. You're not going to sleep as well.
well, if you're exercising at all, I think exercise
I mean, if you're
anytime.
not going to exercise at all, if that's your only opportunity,
Yeah.
but if you have a ring, it will tell you you
Well,
shouldn't
what kind of ring?
drink
Well, what kind of ring?
or a ring,
Yeah,
but you shouldn't drink, you can't
sure.
eat late, you shouldn't work out late at night.
See, and I think, I mean, yes, but I also feel like I can't be totally that restrictive. Like when Peter Attia talks about like not drinking alcohol, and he's like, but I do still drink, like
He
not
still
a
drinks.
lot,
Yeah.
but every once in a while. But that's how I am. I know that there are things that I should be doing to be perfect, but I don't want to be perfect. I want to enjoy my life. So if I'm someone who doesn't want to wake up an hour early to go exercise and I'd rather work out at night, then like fine. That's not perfect, but that's fine. I'm not that rigid, but for me, I am a morning exerciser. That's when I like to work out because that just gets my day started off on the right
Yeah, me
foot.
too.
I get it out of the way,
Me
right? And then
too.
I'm ready to start my day. So I want to do that like tomorrow. I actually think that's the one thing I want to do
Okay.
is I want to like be at the gym at like 7:45 tomorrow morning
Okay.
because I usually work out at 7.
Okay.
But I'm on the East Coast now. When I go back to the West Coast, I don't need to be thinking, my body doesn't need to be thinking that I need to work out at 5 a.m.,
Yeah.
So that's why I'm thinking like 7:45, 8 to then
Yeah.
ease back into it. But I think that's the one thing I want to work on.
No, I can do that. I can
Yeah.
do that. I know we're wrapping up. It feels like we're wrapping up. I didn't get a chance to talk about Arthur Brooks. I didn't get a chance to talk about
That's okay.
Rhonda Patrick and her new person that she just talked to. I mean, there's a lot. So,
We listen to a lot of podcasts
you know,
and we do a
the, jo-
lot of
the joke is,
health and
yeah,
wellness stuff.
in
Yeah.
in our family, if I say last night I was, someone will say fill in the blank, listening to a podcast.
Yeah.
Well, because, okay, Tony Robbins talks about this. I think he calls it net time, no extra time. Like you can be doing in the morning, I'm doing stuff, I'm getting ready, I'm
Yeah.
feeding the dogs, but I have my earbud in and I'm listening. So, and why not listen to something that's going to maybe help you?
Improve your life somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Like our podcast.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right, well, episode 1, over and out.
Done.
Hit the button.
It went away.
Why does it always go?
I don't know. Hold on.
I'll just do it.